Hey guys, Dr. Ben here. Welcome to a Power Pack Brokerpreneur Byte. Get ready to dive into proven strategies for recruiting top talent, retaining your best agents, and skyrocketing sales in the next 10 minutes. I'm your host, of course, Dr. Ben Spears, along with our real estate guru, Matt Vi. Join us as we unravel the secrets to take your brokerage to new heights. Let's dive in. So we know our metrics, right? We know how to grade ourselves, calls, appointments, co-op transactions, net hires, that kind of thing. Now we know our market. I have to imagine that the next thing would be, we already touched a little bit on company dollar, and I know you said, well, that's coming. That's where I'm guessing the next thing probably has to be something with your financials.
Yeah, it's absolutely, you got to know your financials. You got to know your money. And what I mean by that is, don't spend don't spend a ton of time trying to hire the wrong people for your company. Okay. So let me give you a great example of this. If there's an agent that is going to take you basically having zero company dollar by hiring them, just a complete loss leader.
Yeah.
And they're going to be the top agent in your office, and they're going to be the one that you're spending the most time with, and your office is not profitable. It is a bad idea to hire that person. I know that seems silly, right?
Yep.
Because people are going to say, oh no, we just need the listings. We just need the market. We just need the whatever. No, you don't. Don't take on the headache and the hassle. Know your financials. Know what's going on with your money. Know what's going on with your time. Those things are not unrelated. Your money and your time are directly related to each other. And so if you take on something that's just going to be more of a hassle and more of a headache, and it's not going to fit the financial profile of your office, it's going to end up in a mess. It's going to end up in a disaster, and you're going to end up wishing you would not have done it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we touched a little bit on that. Not exactly on that, but we touched on that the last podcast when we were talking about the 5 ways to fail at recruiting. And one of the ways that we said, you'll definitely fail at recruiting if you only hire the people that you like.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And this kind of fits into that boat. It's not necessarily, hiring somebody who's exactly like you, but there are people out there that, everyone say, like, you had the opportunity to hire that person and you didn't. Like, what are you thinking? Are you crazy? And that's a great point. There's different seasons in every brokerage.
Yep.
And there's a right time to bring on that person, and there's a wrong time. And so that's where it's so important. If you had that opportunity to, maybe pick up that high volume agent who would be a loss leader, but you passed on it, keep that relationship strong, because
absolutely,
it's going to come back around. It doesn't mean that, you missed them this time, they're gone forever, right? You can always keep that relationship strong and say, almost be honest, like, it just wasn't the right time, but now I can really support you.
Yep. Completely agree. That's going to make all the difference in the world. And in order to do that, you have to have a really good idea of where you are financially and what you're able to do and capable of doing from a resource standpoint, whenever it comes to hiring people, right?
Yeah. Dive in that a little bit deeper, because, I don't necessarily even, understand necessarily from a brokerage standpoint. What specific financials, I know obviously company dollar, that kind of thing. What specific, financial things, without saying, your accountant or, bringing in some stuff that would, get you in trouble, of course. Would you say you need to really keep track of?
Well, let me give you a perfect example. Let's say that you've got let's say that there's a high volume agent. And they like the flexibility of adjusting the commission to whatever they want it to be.
Right.
Okay. And so, and that's just not how things go in your office, right? Let's say that you stick to a pretty close line of, this is, here's your value, this is how much we're going to charge, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Well, if you're going out and recruiting and you bring in that person and you didn't really pay attention to your financials, you didn't really pay attention to your numbers, and you didn't look at what their average retained commission percentage was, right? All of a sudden you get ready to hire them, you're down to the wire, and you see that, that it's 2% lower than what you normally charge on the listing side, right?
Yeah.
So a couple of things are going to happen there. One, you're going to lose credibility with your peeps, right? Because now they're competing with somebody. The people that you have had are now competing on a financial level with this new person that's coming in, and that's all centered around not having understood your financials when you were going out and hiring someone.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point of, bringing someone into, and how everyone else will respond to the things that they do,
Oh,
or just
absolutely.
the way they do business. But that actually brings us to our next point also. If we talk about knowing your market, we talk about, knowing financials. We're going to do a podcast on actually knowing your competition. So that one's not coming, but you do need to know your peers.
Hmm. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So knowing your peers means the people that you work side by side with, right? And knowing the people in your office, in your organization. Okay. So if you want to be a winner, if you want to be an ace at recruiting, you
Yep.
got to know your team. You got to know their strengths. You got to know their weaknesses. You have to know what they're good at. You have to know where their best way of contributing is, and you have to know what your best way of contributing is. That means you got to do a personality test on everybody, right? And
Yep.
and you got to roll your sleeves up and make sure you know who everybody is and that they're all sitting in the right seat on the bus.
Yep. And they have to know who you are.
That's correct. They have to know who you are, right? That's not a secret. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So know thyself and then know thy peers, right?
Yep.
That would be the next one.
Gotcha. So everybody knows it. Everybody knows everybody. We're all kumbaya,
Right.
right? Effectively, this is a business,
That's right.
and you got to know what it costs to get somebody.
Yep.
There's some brokers out there who I would never pay an agent to come work for me. There's
Right.
other brokerage out there. They're like, I'll give you whatever you want.
Right.
Right.
That's
And
right.
then there's everything in between. So, we're talking about cost per hire here. So talk to us a little bit about cost per hire and why that's so important.
Yeah. So probably the easiest way to come up with that number, right, is take all of your 100% of your recruiting cost, and then take however many people you hired the prior year and just divide that number into it. That's the easiest way to come up with cost per hire. Now let's talk about why that number is really important. And so let me say this. I'm sorry, before we go any farther. Absolutely, it could and should be broken down more than that, because you should not just have one bucket when it comes to
Yes.
recruiting.
Yeah.
You should
What's
have
your
several
ROI on
buckets.
each bucket? Correct.
Right. Right. Now I'm going to give us a little plug on this, right? Okay. So
Okay.
here's something that we're really good at, right? You pay for what we do one time, and you actually get all of your buckets set up. We help you establish
Yeah.
all of those buckets, right?
Yep.
So your cost per hire, we do a good job of helping people leverage that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's multiple buckets. And so it's not like every bucket is thrown at a person.
Yeah. Right.
Right. It's what bucket is perfect for that off. What
Yeah.
buckets are perfect for that office. Yep, exactly.
Completely agree. But whenever it comes down to the cost, you're also going to look at your cost per hour, okay? Because this is one where a lot of people get lost, and there's a really easy equation on this too, right? Look at how many hours a week you work, right? Do I work 40, 45, 50, however many hours? And then multiply that times 48, because you should be taking 4 weeks off a year, right? Let's say that it's only 2 weeks off a year, and that's 50. You're going to multiply your time per hour, or your hours per week, right? Excuse me, your hours per week, multiply that times however many weeks you worked during the year.
Yep.
And then you're going to take that number and you're going to divide it by your salary, right? Or however much your compensation package is, or whatever the deal is. This is going to break some people's heart. Okay.
Don't
Because
go
they're,
break him out.
I couldn't if I tried.
I bet you could.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I think I broke somebody's heart today.